Hi everyone, thanks so much for taking the time to do this with me today. My name is Ruben Avery and I will be your host for this webinar as we dive in and teach you a little bit more about the Back on Stage band management app. So, how Back on Stage came about? Well, actually I was just really getting frustrated with trying to run my own 9-piece funk band using way too many different apps. I mean, we had Dropbox, we had Evernote, we had a customer relationship management software, we had another app for sharing our online calendar with each other, and then our contracts were in Word, we had our invoices in Excel. I mean, you get the idea. It was just nuts trying to keep track of all these different moving parts in so many different apps. So here we are after 11 years of that madness. I was stoked to finally start managing my band inside Back on Stage, and I really hope you are too. The team here at Back on Stage has created one app that lets you manage all of that stuff in one place, which is pretty rad. So today we're going to explain some key concepts inside the app, like roles and members, our leads and tokens as well. And then we're also going to cover creating bookings, getting paid, and of course paying your band members. And before we get into that, I just want to clarify with you why you are actually here today. Because, as Douglas Williams once said, if you don't know where you're going, you will never get there. So are you here today because you've just got nothing better to do? Or are you here because running your band is a lot of hard work and you want to make it easier on yourself? Now, I think that would be a pretty good takeaway for today, but I want to get a little more specific about it because I think it's pretty typical for band leaders to feel overworked and underpaid. So I want to ask, when was the last time you had a raise as a band leader? And would you like one? Now, hopefully you're saying yes, because that is what we're actually going to do here today. And not just a small raise. I want you to get paid 20 times more for the band leader work you are doing right now. So just for some simple math, if you're paying yourself $10 an hour for your admin work right now, I want you to be getting paid $200 an hour. Sound good? Okay, so how are we going to do that? Well, I want to start by showing you a short video that will allow you to see the entire gig booking process and how it works inside Back on Stage so that you can see how crazy fast it is. And while I'm getting that ready, I want you to just do some thinking here and write down some numbers that pertain to how you run your band right now. And the numbers that I want you to think about are the amounts of time that you spend on each of these tasks when you're booking a gig. Okay, we got client communication. We've got preparing a contract and invoice, we've got booking all your musicians, preparing a set list, and processing payment, paying musicians, and bookkeeping. Okay, so while I'm just pulling this video up here, just give that some thought. Give me 1 second. Okay, and actually before I show you this video, just to show you what my numbers were looking like when I actually over an 8-month period, this is kind of weird, probably not many people do this, but I actually logged every activity, every task I did for my band so that I could figure out these averages and figure out where all my time was going because I was feeling pretty overworked. So my numbers were coming in around this. I had almost 2 hours for communicating with the client. Preparing a contract and invoice was taking me about 40 minutes. Booking all my musicians was taking about 30 minutes. Preparing a set list, another 30. And processing all the payments and doing the bookkeeping was between 30 and 40 minutes for a total of about 40 hours per gig. So that doesn't even factor in the back and forth emailing with all the clients that contact you but never actually end up booking. So that's a huge time suck as well. Okay, so now let's take a look at how long it will take me to get that 4 hours worth of work done inside Back on Stage. And spoiler alert here, it's not going to take 4 hours, not even close. I would not waste your time like that. But I've got a little timer on the video here so you can see and keep track of how long it is actually taking. So, all right, I'm just going to hit play on this video, and here we go. One way of getting new gigs into Back on Stage is by embedding our special contact form into your website. So in this example, our client has already filled that in and we've just received this email notification from Back on Stage telling us about it. So let's just click this link. So here's what the new lead looks like, and as we scroll down here we can see that the auto follow-up emails I configured previously have already started sending. So without investing any of my own time, I've already been communicating with the client. So we just have to wait literally until the client replies. So let's skip ahead to that. Okay, now that the client has replied, our follow-up emails have stopped and we can see what the client wrote here. He wants to proceed, so the next step is for me to gather some more details. And to do that, I'll convert this lead to a booking so that I can send a questionnaire. So here I'll choose the Client Questionnaire option. Now before I can make a questionnaire, I need these fields filled out, so I'll just complete the event title, which is currently missing. And while I'm at it, I'll change this to a private event, and I'll choose to have boss automatically change the booking status to confirmed once the contract is signed. That's a pretty handy feature. Also, just a note here that the client selected my 9-piece dance band service when he originally filled in my website contact form. So we have that info here as well, and that'll be pretty handy later. So I'm just going to save this. Okay, now I'll open it up again and click here to build and send a client questionnaire. Now I already have a template built, so I'll just choose that. Then all I have to do is enter a title and some instructions. Now as I scroll down here, you can see all the questions we'll ask the client, and this is looking great. So I'll just click here to add it to an email. Now here in the email window, I have a template too, so I'll just choose that. And send it off. Perfect. So now the client will get an email with a link to our questionnaire, and once they fill it in for us, all that info is automatically loaded into our booking. So let's just jump forward to that. Cool. All right, now we've got all the gig details we need and everything is inputted for us with no copying and pasting. So the next step is that we need a contract and invoice. So we're just going to head to the booking creator for that. Okay, so now we're just going to click here on this invoice button, and we'll see the boss has pre-filled the bill to field and the due date, and it's even added our 9-piece dance band here, as well as the description and rate. This looks perfect. So I'm just going to add a 10% discount on here, and I will allow them to pay online, and I'll require them to pay a 25% deposit to secure the booking, and then I'll just save that. Now boss moves me right away to the contract page next, and again I have a template here, so I'll just load that up. It has already pre-filled the dates for me again, so I can just fly along to selecting the admin signature I want to use, and I'll make the client signature mandatory as well, and I'm done. Now I'll send the documents to the client by opening up the review and send page and typing out a message. And then I'll review that and send. Great, so now I'm on to the book roles page, and this is where I'll send gig offers to all the musicians I want to book. So again, I have a template I'm going to call up. Are you noticing a theme here? Okay, great. So this is my list of roles to be filled and the call order of musicians available for each role. I've preset the rate amounts and turned on auto book so that the system will automatically send gig offers and fill my roster for me. So I'll just make one adjustment here because I owe Fred a gig, so I'll call him first for guitar. And I'll just make a quick adjustment to my auto book settings, and then I'm done. Now I just need to sit back and relax while Back on Stage books all my musicians for me. How cool is that? Now normally this process would take some time, but I'm not going to keep you waiting, so we're going to just jump ahead here to when Back on Stage has completed booking everyone for us so we can see that everybody is marked as booked. And there we go. Now let's also check on the status of our client invoicing contract here in the admin tab. I can see that we sent an email thanking them for their payment, so obviously they made one. And I can see here that they've signed the contract, so that's great. Now, I'm not looking at it right now. I'm not going to show you this today, but I would have also been CC'd on that payment thank you email that boss sent on my behalf, so I would know the moment the client had paid. And in this particular case, the client paid with a check. So once I actually receive that check, I have to go over here to my Finances tab and click to confirm receipt of payment. And that's all I have to do for the bookkeeping, which is pretty rad. Okay, now we're almost ready for the gig. We just need to make a set list. So let's jump over to our repertoire area. Now the first thing we see here is our music library, which is our entire collection of songs, but we're going to skip over to our Setlist Builder here. Now I already have a short set built from a past gig that I'll just modify for this gig, so I'll choose that. Now I need 50 minutes of music for this gig, but I can see that this set only has 41. So I'll turn on the length display for each song so I can find a couple more that will fill up the time perfectly. And that's great. Close enough for me. We're at 49 minutes. That's great. Okay, now I'll choose the reorder edit window to arrange these songs a bit since the client made some requests. Then, because my band has multiple singers, I need to assign each song to a vocalist. And I like to stagger the vocalist during the performance, so I'll reorder the songs a bit more as I do this. And as a last touch, I'm just going to add a note here for everyone. Great, this is done. So now I'll just go to the publish screen here and attach this set list to a booking. And voila. Now if I return to the booking, I can just click on this view set list link and head to the perform mode of my new set list. Now all the musicians can access it that way as well. Now check out this great set list. Since I've uploaded sheet music for all my songs, musicians can access their parts here, and musicians can even customize their own display. So for example, a drummer can load up tempo markings and get a click track for any tune. Awesome. So let's fast forward a bit and the gig is over. Now we need to pay all our musicians. We'll go back to the booking page and head to the Finances tab, where we'll see that Back on Stage has calculated all the amounts we owe everyone and even added tax appropriately to anyone that collects it. Now, I don't want to have to worry about paying everybody, and I want Back on Stage to do that for me. So I'm just going to click this Check All button here, which will activate the Auto Pay feature and send an automatic PayPal payment at my predefined time to everybody. So it just asks me to confirm, and then we're all set. So let's fast forward again to the day after the gig. I've told AutoPay to pay my musicians one day after the booking at 9 a.m. So I literally got to sleep in, and Boss sent payments and generated musician invoices for me while I slept. That's pretty awesome. So I see a list of all the payments sent here in the right in the expenses column. And on the left side here, all the old pay buttons have changed to invoice buttons, and I can click on any one of those to see the invoice that was generated. And musicians can also log in here and download their own invoice anytime. Okay, and that's it. We've finished the entire gig. Wow, okay, did you get all that? That was 8.5 minutes. So we just reduced 4 hours of work into 8.5 minutes. I'm just going to pause so you can think about that for a bit. Imagine this, okay? If your band gets 1 gig per week, so that's about 50 gigs per year, you could get all that admin work done for all 50 gigs in a single workday, a single 8-hour workday, and you'd even get almost a full hour lunch break in there too. And it gets even better because in that video, I was explaining everything as I did it, which slowed me down a lot. You obviously won't be explaining your process to someone each and every time you do a booking. So I have reason to believe that with a little practice, once you learn to play this software like you play your instrument, you'll get so fast at this, you'll probably get it down under 5 minutes, which is insane. And that was actually our goal when we set out to create Back on Stage. We wanted to build an app that would let band leaders execute an entire booking from start to finish in under 5 minutes. And here we are. So if you're like me and all this booking work was taking you about 4 hours per gig, and now it's only going to take you 5 minutes, Boss will make you 48 times more effective, essentially giving you a 48 times raise. Now, even if you're bad with technology and you need twice as long to do a booking, let's say 10 minutes, that's still 24 times better than what your current stat is, which is amazing. Okay, great. So let's break down some of the magic we just experienced over the next few minutes. I'll quickly show you how to get your Back on Stage account set up so you can handle your bookings like we just saw in the video. Okay, so first of all, we're going to go to the company details page, and you're going to navigate to the company settings menu and hit that details button there, because inside here we're going to set up basically all of our client-facing stuff and a few of the nitty-gritties that help the app run. So your company details here are how all of your company things, your company details will show up on the invoices that you make. So you want to make sure those are all really accurate. Of course, set up your company taxes there as well. That's super important. select your currency in there as well. Also very important. You don't want to be paying your musicians in the wrong currency. And then your PayPal account is very important as well. Link your PayPal account in here so that you can accept client credit card payments as well as paying your musicians. And as a side note here, you're going to need a PayPal business account for this. It's super easy to sign up at paypal.com. And if you have a personal account right now, you can actually upgrade that to a PayPal business account. And it's really easy to do that. So that's your PayPal. And then the auto pay and payout settings, you saw kind of the magic of auto pay earlier in that booking, but auto pay is where you'll want to sort of activate that to be able to pay your musicians. If you want to be able to sleep in like I did in that video and have all your musicians get paid and their invoices get generated, this is how you do that. And then lastly, your auto book preferences. So when you send gig offers out to your musicians, when you're creating a new gig, these are sort of the default settings that get set there. So if you don't want to tweak them every single time, you can make your defaults in here. Okay, so now that your company's set up, we're going to look at what roles, members, and services are and how they are related. So first of all, what are roles? Now, inside Back on Stage, roles are various instruments or positions in your band. So to get to the roles area, we go again to the company settings menu and hit that roles button. And your roles should look like this, like bari sax, bass, drums, guitar, keyboards, all that kind of stuff. Now you should set up all your roles before you add members. It's just easier that way. So what are members? Well, they're individual people you hire and pay for gigs. So you can add members via the plus button at the top of the app or inside the company settings. Drop down again and hit that members button there. And here's your list of all your members. And as you can see, they've been assigned to roles there. So when you're adding a new member, you actually select the roles that they are going to fulfill as you're adding them. So that's why we wanted to create the roles first, because that'll speed up that process. Now, the last thing we're going to look at here is services. What are services? Well, in Back on Stage, they're essentially profiles of various band configurations and services that you sell. So we get there by going to the company settings and hitting the services button, and they're going to look something like this. And so basically, here's the service card you fill in. So they get a title, description, price, you charge tax, yes or no. And then we have the who do you hire for this service down here. So this is where you specify all of the roles that you typically book for this service. So, you know, if this was a 5-piece band, I might have these 5 roles and I might pay them all each $200 every gig. So I would just specify that in there. Okay, so let's take a look now at how Back on Stage automates our workflow for us based on these service profiles. So when you're creating a booking, if you want to be able to create an invoice or contract or book musicians for that gig, you need to add a service to that gig. So what is a service? Why are we adding a service? Well, that tells Back on Stage what to put on your invoice and contract. It also tells Back on Stage which roles need to be booked and how much each role will be paid. Now, you can always adjust the price, the description, the roles, and the musician rates for any service on a per gig basis, but the defaults you define when you create the service should be your most commonly used ones, so that'll save you a little bit of time. Now, you can add services to a booking when you first create the booking or by clicking the Edit button right there on the Services column on any gig page. Now, be aware that because the service is linked to your invoice and contract and your musician bookings, if you remove a service from a booking, it will be removed from your invoice and contract, and all the musicians you have booked for that service will be canceled as well. So bear that in mind. Now, our band is ready and our musicians are all set, so let's take a look at our clients and how those work. So in Back on Stage, we have 2 different kinds of client relationships. We have leads, which are people who are interested in your service but haven't booked you yet, and then we've got clients, which are people who have booked your services. So why separate the two? Well, we treat them very differently inside Back on Stage. So we have an entire lead processing system and then our booking system, and those are quite different. So with leads, it's quite common for you to get a bunch of people emailing you, wanting info about your band, but many just don't end up booking. That's super annoying and it's a waste of your time. I mean, especially in the wedding and event business, it's common to get like 30 to 40 inquiries and only book maybe one or two. So many don't even have the decency to reply at all after their initial email. Regardless, though, it's essential that you keep following up with them if you really want to, get their attention and possibly win the gig. So, I mean, I've even heard it said that you should follow up with clients like 7 times if you really want to win the gigs. That's a heck of a lot of emailing back and forth. So our back on stage lead system actually lets you automate that. And you can just send personalized emails automatically at times that you define. So our lead system is very clean and simple. This is what a lead would look like when they've filled in your lead form, which we'll get to in a bit, and they've submitted their information to you. It's just a very simple page here. And basically the entire point of our lead system is really just to get the conversation going between you and the client. And once they decide they want to proceed, then you move that to the booking stage. And all you have to do that is hit that create booking at the top there. And then this will slide into the booking system. Inside the booking system is where most of the meat and potatoes of the app really are. And there's a lot involved in our booking system. And you just don't need all these booking features when you're at the lead stage. So that's why we separated them. So what are all the features within each booking? Well, first of all, it's important to understand that we have 2 basic permission levels inside Back on Stage. And those are musician and admin. So as a musician, you cannot access client data, financials, admin notes, or the admin tab, which we'll show you in a bit. And of course, admins can access everything. So let's take a look at what each of these permission levels can access inside a booking. Okay, so here's a snapshot of the admin version. And you can see here that we've got client detail, we've got our admin notes, we've got finances down here. So musicians won't be able to see any of that. This is the musician view. So again, we've lost the client data, financials, all that good stuff. Now, if we scroll down to the bottom of the page, we have all these options down here, and this is the admin version here. So we see chat, that's the musicians can see that as well. That's going to be the same. We've got a tasks panel. Musicians can see their own tasks in here, but not ones that are not assigned to them. So admins have a special version here as well. Files, everybody can see. And then we've got the roles here that are booked, and this is the administrator view. Musicians have limited information here. We'll look at that in a sec. And then we've got our finances, and admins get a whole lot of financial information here, which musicians do not get. And then, of course, this admin tab up here is accessible only to admins as well. And in here, we've got client data, where you can access all your emails. There's a contract here and the invoice. And then we've got guest list, promotional, and posts as well, which are only accessible to admins. So in the musician version here, if you look up here, I'm just going to go back a sec here, the admin tab here disappears. So musicians only get to see this band tab. They get all the other sections here, but they've got a slightly different view of them. So you can see here, as a musician, I can see everybody else got booked, but I only get to see my own rate. And in the finances here, again, I only get to see my own rate. But chat, tasks, and files are the same there. Okay, so this basically sums up the individual booking view, or the gig page, and what the different permission levels can see on it. I just want to wind back for a second now to our lead settings again, because I want to show you how to actually set up your lead follow-up emails, because I think those are going to save you a lot of time. So if you navigate to the company settings and hit that lead settings button there, and I'm sorry, I don't have a slide without this menu in the way. I screwed that up. But this lead page is where you set up your lead form. And the lead form is something, it's just basically a questionnaire that you can actually embed with a special code. You copy and paste from this page, paste it into the source code for your band's website. And then it just populates a little form there that customers can come and fill in. You can select here with these checkboxes. You can see right around here which data you're going to include on that form, which fields they'll have to fill in. And that's how they get their information into the system. And once they have filled that in, then you get to send lead follow-up emails, and you can trigger these to go automatically. So for example here, I've set this one to go up 26 minutes after that lead form is submitted. So you can see there we've got a subject. We can put in a little message there. We can even add an attachment if we want. And something important I want to talk about here is the token feature. So when you see that token there, that's actually like a placeholder for existing booking information. And we let you use these tokens on these auto follow-up emails and also in your contracts and some other email templates so that you don't have to keep referring back to the booking. You can just put a placeholder in there and it will insert the information for you. So for example, in your client auto reply here, we're saying, hi, client first name, rest of email. So that would populate with hi David or hi Suzanne, depending on whoever filled in that form for you. So that's super handy. It allows you to kind of personalize these emails without actually having to do any maintenance on them yourself. So I would encourage you to get those set up. You know, like I said, send 6 or 7 of them. If people aren't replying, just keep sending. And the cool thing about our system is that as soon as somebody does reply, we stop the lead follow-up emails automatically for you. So they don't just keep pummeling your customer with information that may not be relevant once you actually start a conversation with them. So we've put that safeguard in there for you. Okay, so save all those changes when you're done. The last thing I want to take you through here today is actually our Repertoire feature, because this is really, really cool. And to get there, just navigate to the Repertoire section in your menu bar there. And the first thing you see here is your music library. This is your entire collection of songs. All your musicians can access this anytime. So you can literally forget about Dropbox, Evernote, Google Drive, whatever else you've been using. This can take place of all that. To add a new song in here, you just click this new song button right there, and then you're going to see this new song pop up. And as you can see in here, we get to put in title, key, artist, if it's not yourself, like a cover band could put in any other artist name, BPM, your song length. If you're a multi-vocalist band, you can put in all the different singers that know or that sing this song. So you can keep that information around. You can add any notes there for everybody to see, attach audio files, video links, or of course all your sheet music, chord charts, all that kind of stuff in PDF format. You can slap them all on there. So tons of information you can store on a song card. And this just makes it really easy for your musicians to come in anytime and learn the right arrangements, get their sheet music, all that good stuff. And actually with the sheet music as well, the PDF files you attach here, you can assign them to specific roles in your band. So if you're loading up some drum sheet music, you can assign that to the drummer. And then when the drummer loads up his set list, he's only going to see drum charts. And when you assign something to a trumpet player, if she loads up her set list, she's only going to see trumpet parts. And they don't, that way, people aren't just having to shuffle through a whole bunch of sheet music all the time. They only get the part that is meant for them. So that's a huge time saver, and nobody's going to have to be shuffling around their music anymore. So use this feature. It's I'm not going to lie, it's a lot to set up. If you've got 10 files for every song and you've got 400 songs, it's a lot to set up. But we do have like a CSV import function, and which just lets you sort of upload through a spreadsheet, which does speed up the process for you. So when you've got some downtime, throw some stuff in there, and it will definitely be worth your time. Okay, so let's look at setting up a set list now. Set lists in here are a 3-step process. So first of all, we have to choose the songs, then we're going to put the songs in order, and then we're going to publish it. Pretty simple process. So how do we do all that? First of all, go to the Setlist Builder tab within the Repertoire section, and you're gonna it's already going to have you set on the Choose Songs option there. So that just lets you choose songs. Your entire song list is going to show up at the bottom here. All you've got to do is click on songs. They'll turn green, so they're selected. Then just save your changes there when you've chosen songs. We've also got these handy filters here to help you choose songs. So let's say we're doing a gig, we've only got our vocalists Mike and Jackie on this gig. Then I don't want to look at my entire song list. I only want to look at the songs that they can sing, because we can't do the songs they can't sing. So that'll help you sort of filter your list down and make your selections a lot faster. So that can really speed things up for you. Okay, so next we want to put songs in order, and to do that we hit the Reorder Edit tab up there, and then all you've got to do is click and drag on songs to move them around however you want them. You can also assign them to vocalists, so you just toggle on that Assign Vocalist option there, and then all you have to do is click They're just like little tags. You just click on the ones that you want to activate for a particular song, and that song gets assigned to that vocalist. And then when they load up their set list, they just choose that they want to see the vocalist designations on their set list, and then they'll see that. So that is quite handy. And when you're ready to go, you just move over here to the Publish section. And on this page, we can copy the link to share with musicians. But just a note on that, if musicians are not registered as members in your company, they won't be able to see the set list. And that's because set lists actually tailor themselves to the individual musician looking at them. Like I said earlier, if you've assigned trumpet parts to the trumpet player, drum parts to the drum player, the system sorts all that out for you. So you can't just share this link with anybody. They do have to be in your band. And if you hit the perform mode button there, it will take you directly to the live set list. But if you want to attach this set list to a booking, which is what you need to do so musicians can find it, you just put the booking in there. Just go in there, all your bookings will show up, so just select the one that it belongs to, hit attach, and you are good to go. Then when musicians are looking for the set list from their gig page, all they'll have to do is hit that View Setlist button right there underneath the service that they are a part of, and that will take them right here to the live setlist mode. So here we are, we saw this already, but the perform mode displays sheet music that has been assigned to specific roles. Musicians can actually attach their own PDF here as well, only visible to them if they've got their own notes for things. Tempo markings here are clickable. They turn on a click track for whoever needs that. And band members can customize their own view as well by hitting the display filter there. So again, vocalists could choose to have that vocalist list display so they'll see which songs they're singing. Drummers can turn on tempo. You can turn on length if you want to. And then all musicians can access these set lists for gigs that they're booked for in this drop-down menu here as well. So they can just quickly toggle between all the set lists they need to see. Okay, so that is actually all I want to show you today inside Back on Stage. We've covered a ton of cool stuff here, and believe it or not, there is still much more under the hood. I've probably only covered 25% of the stuff this app can do. So again, thank you so much for joining me here today, and thanks for watching this all through. I hope I didn't put you to sleep, and that's all I've got. So again, I'm Ruben Avery. Thanks so much for joining me today. Please stay well and healthy, and goodbye.